Hi, welcome to today's video. My name is Paul. So this week you're going to see me doing a bit of watercolor landscape painting, hopefully. I've had to change the way I record videos a bit because I'm having all kinds of technical problems, and particularly with the sound quality that's really bad. So I've tried a few different things. I just can't afford to go out and buy more equipment, better equipment. So if this doesn't work, I don't know. Might be the end of my YouTube adventure, but we'll try this approach and see what happens. It means that I can't show you me painting and me talking over it at the same time. That just doesn't seem to work anymore. I can do these sort of static images, and the sound quality might be okay, it might not. We'll have to see. But anyway, on screen you can see the painting that I'm going to be doing. I say it's a stormy sky, sort of late winter, early spring type of painting. And of course it's a watercolor painting and done in a very loose, abstract way. In this video, I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about edges, color saturation, and just general color palettes. So the next part, I'll try to show you me doing some painting. I might just have to put music or something over the top of it. We'll see what happens. Okay, so as I said, I want to talk about a few different things, edges, color saturation, and just sort of color palette generally. So we're not going into huge detail, but just a few words about each of these things. So first of all, edges. So when you put paint onto the paper, you create a shape. And that shape is defined partly by the color that you use. If you put down blue paint, it stands out from the white paper and you create a blue shape. But it also, of course, has edges. And those edges could be hard or soft. And then the painting we just saw me doing in the sky, we have examples of both of those type of edges. So on the left, we've got some hard edges and also the horizon line where it meets the sky. There's hard edges there as well. Generally speaking, it's not an exact science, but generally speaking, if you put wet paint onto dry paper, you'll get hard or harder edges. If you put wet paint onto wet paper, you'll get softer edges. So it's not an exact science. You've got to play around with it, find what works for you. But maybe at the beginning of the video, you might have just seen me using, spraying a little bit of water onto some parts of the paper. So some of the paper was wet and some of it was dry. And I did that because I wanted a mix of hard and soft edges. Now, for me, the edges are basically just to give me a bit of visual interest. If everything is hard, if everything is soft, it's a bit boring. It's not as visually interesting. So I just like to mix things up a bit. If you were a naturalistic painter, then you would use edges in a very different way, much more, well, naturalistic way. You'd be trying to create realistic images, and the way you'd use edges would be very different. I sometimes use edges in that way, but very often I don't. So this is why I keep saying, when you're getting into art, don't just kind of focus on the technical stuff, on the, what type of paint or colors and blah, blah, blah. You got to think about what type of artist do you want to be, because that has a huge impact on how you use whatever medium that you're using. But anyway, edges, something to think about. Another thing is color saturation. So if you look at the bottom part of the image inside the little box, you can see there's some blue paint. Now, on the left, it looks darker, and on the right, it looks lighter. But it's all the same paint. It's all coming out of one tube. It's all French ultramarine blue. The difference is the ratio of pigment to water in the brush. You put more water, you get a lighter shade of blue, or yellow, or green, or whatever color you're using. And this is one of the things that makes watercolor paint different from other paints. I think, I'm not sure because I don't use them very often, but acrylic or oil paint, if you had a blue, French ultramarine blue, for example, and you wanted a lighter blue, you could add white to the paint and you'll get a lighter blue. Watercolor is a little bit different. With watercolor, by increasing the amount of water that you mix into the pigment, when you put that onto the paper and it dries, because watercolor is translucent or transparent, you'll see some of the white paper shining through the paint. And the less pigment, the more water there is, the more of the white paper you'll see. So you'll change a dark blue into a light blue. It's a different way of working, and it's one of the things that makes watercolor different from other liquid paints. But anyway, that's color saturation. That's how you get a dark blue, a light blue, and so on. You don't have to rush out and buy 25 different tubes of paint. One color, and you've got a lot of different things going on. And then, of course, you've got color mixing as well. You can mix in other things and create different colors. In terms of the different colors, if you look on the right of the screen, I've kind of isolated some of the colors that I use. Because this is a winter scene, I tend to use more duller, earthy colors, if you like, sepias, grays, things like that. If it was a spring or summer painting, I would use brighter colors. That's just how I think about colors. I tend to think in terms of the season. Colder seasons, more earthy colors, more grays and blacks. Warmer seasons, brighter colors. I'm not a naturalistic painter, so I'm not really worried about the actual colors. It's just what the different colors say to me, the different color schemes about the season. Some people get into the whole color wheel thing and complementary colors and split complementaries and so on and so on. And you can do that. You can also think about color in terms of temperature. There's lots of different ways of thinking about color. But for me, I just associate some color schemes with different seasons. Okay, well, if you made it this far in the video, thank you for watching and listening. As I say, I'm trying different things because I'm kind of having technical issues that force me to try different things, but we'll see how things go in the future.